welcome to my latest experiment. This is the big one, the one I've been waiting for all my life.
What is it?
Try to imagine all life as you know it stopping instantaneously and every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light.
Oh my God.
The cream will rise to the top, oh yeah.
And I am the voice of the voiceless.
And there is no one that does it better.
The Guy and Harley podcast, streaming all over your face.
Perhaps that was the most important part.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Pigville on the internet. Told myself, fuck the world, kid. Just do what you like. Go and have a food fight. Start yourself a new life. You're too bright to be inside a bunch of mediocrity, but all those big words ain't gonna get you paid, and those abstract ideas for sure won't get you laid. You got it made in that madhouse. What the fuck you got to be sad about? Go ahead and rap now. Welcome to the Guy and Harley podcast. I'm Guy Pigden.
And I'm Harley Neville. You are too bright to be inside a bunch of mediocrity. But all of those big words ain't going to get you paid. Mediocrity. That's the one big word in the entire rap.
Yeah.
Mediocrity.
Well, I think, but the whole idea is...
4 syllables?
He's not going to be using
5?
any big words because no one cares about that in the rap game.
Right.
So, you know, just got to keep heading for the lowest common denominator.
And who was that artiste?
That's Mac Miller.
Mac Miller. Oh, yeah. I don't know him particularly well, but I don't mind what I saw. I saw him live. Saw him live one time at
Power Station.
The Big Day Out.
Oh, okay. Yep.
He was good.
Yeah, he is quite good. He's kind of a bit like early Eminem in a way, in some ways.
Early Eminem that came after him.
Yeah. So, yeah, this is the Guy and Harley podcast. What episode are we up to?
54.
54.
They don't care about that.
So, what have you got on the agenda?
Well, that's good. I thought you were going to dive straight into a topic. Turns out you didn't have any. So, what have I got here? My feet. I bought some shoes the other day.
Yep.
Splashed out large. Yep. Most I've ever spent on shoes.
How much?
Well, $550.
But that's
2 pairs.
2 pairs.
2 pairs.
Yeah.
2 pairs. But that's still, either one of those 2 pairs would have been the most expensive pair of shoes I've ever bought in my life.
Yeah.
But I stocked up, you know. I'll be set for shoes for the next 4 years now.
Yeah.
But yeah, my feet appear to have shrunk to a comically small US size 6.
Yeah.
And you know what they say about little feet?
Well,
I'll tell you it's true.
That is pretty small.
Well, the thing is, right, normally I'm a US size 9 on a skate shoe, right?
Yeah.
Or but for some reason, I don't know what the deal is, they've either shrunk or the brands have changed their sizing thing. Because basically I wore the 9 and they were way too big. So I went to the 8, they didn't have the 7, and I thought, I'll try the 6 on. And it fit.
Yeah, that's a bit weird. Are you sure that it wasn't UK sizing?
No, they were US. US 9. US 9, far too big for me.
Well, size 6 is a dainty female's foot, basically.
So that's good. I've got a dainty female's foot, but covered in hair and with stumpy little toes.
And like pudgy like a troll's, like if you imagine how a troll's foot would be, that's your foot, but size 6.
Yeah. So that's good. That's good. As if I already wasn't ashamed enough of my feet. But yeah, so that was for the reason why I bought new shoes was I'm an artiste. I'm a poet. And I needed to, I was debuting my new poem off to the shoe shop, or as Guy likes to call it, the Millennial Falcon.
Yep.
And I at the end of the poem, it's a poem that I performed a couple of weeks ago on the podcast, or not very well.
So go back to that if you missed it.
So go back to that. And then At the end of the poem, I end referring to my shoes, and so I had to have new shoes on. So I've just written off that tax receipt as well. I'll be keeping that, new shoes, putting that as a prop for my poetry career.
Yeah. Don't know if poets can have props. Like, I don't know if a poet could write off a prop.
What, you don't think? No, because it was also a YouTube video. I made a video of it and I put it on YouTube,
I guess then
which
you
is
could
part of
say
my filmmaking.
It was filmmaking, yeah.
So if you guys want to see that poem, by the way, you can see it on our YouTube channel. It's currently our latest upload. It's youtube.com/Pigville2, or just search Pigville and you'll find us, and it's called Off to the Shoe Shop. So and
how's the views doing on that?
110 in 2 days. It's better than the podcast. But, you know, I haven't really... I haven't put it on Facebook yet. When I put it on Facebook, it'll get a lot more traffic. Like, I've shared it on Facebook, but I haven't uploaded it to Facebook. And Facebook nowadays is burying YouTube dramatically. Like, to the point where it's kind of laughable. There's almost no point in sharing a YouTube video on Facebook anymore.
Well, that's Facebook's fault, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Facebook being underhanded.
Yeah. It's very frustrating because basically... You know, and we talked a little bit about this argument in one of the earlier podcasts, but basically Facebook is taking all the money from everything, while YouTube is at least saying, here's a way to make money on what we're using, you know, and of course we're making money too, but you get a cut of the pie. Facebook is like, nah, fuck you all. We're taking everything, and not only that, we're strangling you out of trying to make money other ways via our platform, because we will destroy that algorithm, so it'll never pop up in anyone's timeline. Fucking Facebook, man.
Well, that's exactly what has happened to my poem.
Evil empire.
Or just nobody likes my poem. But I refuse to believe that.
It can't be that.
Can't be that. It went great. It did go really well. There was old lady bloomers being thrown up on stage at me. I was really happy when I left. I got the
you were really happy with that 50-year-old woman that you slept with, that you hooked up with in the bathroom after the show.
Listen, mate, you've got to make hay while the sun shines. That's all I'm saying. Well, one day, a 50-year-old woman will be young to me.
Yeah, I know.
So, you know, I just think of it like that.
Well, one day in 20 years, 20 to 30 years, a 50-year-old woman will be young to you. So you take that mindset now when she is 20 years older than you.
Yeah. It's like hindsight is 20/20. Sort of projecting myself into the future, looking back. That's how I operate.
That's your justification for sleeping with middle-aged women.
Yeah.
At this point. Yeah. Hey, that's not bad.
That's not bad. It's actually reminds me of...
It's also a slower acclimatization. So, you know, like if you... you know, at a certain point, you know, you're obviously going to have to be sleeping with a 50-year-old woman. Yeah. And so now you're just doing it in advance to see what it's like, so you can kind of be like, okay, this is horrific, but now at least I'm prepared for what it will be when I'm doing it full time.
Not just a tourist. Tourist and beat up pussy land. It reminds me of a quote from your girlfriend, Shelley, the other day, who I thought this was quite good. She said, you know, the worst thing about getting older, you know what the worst thing about getting old is? Sleeping with old people. And she was clearly referring to you. Well, because she's your girlfriend.
Yeah, but I'm younger than her.
Well, yeah.
But I think I think that's a real sobering joke.
Yeah, it is. It's a little bit. Because I've thought about that too. It's like you want to have sex with a MILF, right? You want to have sex with a MILF. But I'm 32 years old now, you know, and it's like soon a MILF is just going to be a woman my age, you know? Like it's no longer that hot mum kind of thing is not really, unless I start, unless you got a hot grandma.
Now sleeping with people that are your age.
Who happen to have
mum is your age.
Exactly. So maybe I missed the boat on that one.
Yeah, it is.
You want to be 20 and having sex with a cougar, not in your mid-30s and having sex with someone a couple of years older than you.
Yeah. It is funny, but you know, the basically it's the dirty old man syndrome, the dirty old man effect, where it's basically like, you know, and this is something that it did occur to me, I guess, but now is really occurring to me, and that, you know, what you see all these dirty old men about, and you're like, oh, you're so disgusting. Like, why don't you just, you know, like, I guess, lust after people your own age.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, because the people their own age are disgusting and haggard.
And boring.
You would never, like... And so, of course, you know, that's the thing, is like a 20-year-old is still attractive to you at 33, except you're 33. And they're still going to be attracted to you when you're 43 or 53 or 63.
Or 83.
And that is a real issue for them.
No, well, I increasingly sympathise with the dirty old men.
Yeah.
And that's... I'm coming around. I'm coming around, you know? I used to be like, what's up with that old guy at the party? What a fucking loser.
It's so disgusting and lecherous.
Oh,
Why don't you
God,
just, like, try for someone his own age?
He's so gross. What a loser. Now I'm like, hey, dudes, what's up? Cool party.
And now you are, well, we're not quite at that lecherous old man on the corner stage, but it's only a few years away.
Yeah, it's not far away. It's not far away. So that's good.
So that's cool. So that's what we all have to look forward to in our lives. And, you know, not being sexist, I'm sure it goes the other way. Why, sweet God, would a female want to sleep with a fat, bare-bellied, like...
50-something-year-old
like, codger. Bald, disgusting...
Little feet.
Dainty
troll feet.
Dainty troll feet. Like, who would do that? No one. Of course you'd want to sleep with a virile young man who's got some energy in bed.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, the way things are going, when I'm 50, I'm not going to have any energy in bed. You know?
So, you know, we sympathise, but, you know, it's just one of those sad facts. Sad facts of life.
We're born to slowly decay.
Yeah. We're all slowly dying, but we're all slowly living at the same time.
That's profound, bro.
I think I read that as a comment in someone's Facebook, and I thought it was fucking stupid.
Yeah.
But you know, what else? What else on the agenda there?
Well,
you said you're going to talk to me about something on the podcast. You rung me, this morning.
Yeah, that's right.
Crack of fucking dawn, 10 a.m. I was fast asleep. I'd gone to bed at 6 a.m. And I heard a phone call. I didn't know who it was. I was like, whoever the fuck that is, I'm not. And then in fact, I think I might have heard someone knocking on the door as well. Was it tied together? I don't know. I ignored them both.
Yeah.
And went back to sleep.
Yeah, I was in hospital.
What?
No. No, I wasn't in hospital. I was in jail. No, I was... so this morning was raining, and I really needed a ride. And I thought, he's had 4 hours. No, this morning was raining, and my bike has an aftermarket air filter on it, which means it's not like all tucked away somewhere safe out of the elements. So it's this pod filter which kind of just is there underneath the bike, and when it gets wet, it shits itself. Like it stops. The air stops flowing through it. And basically, I was on the highway today, and I was like a K from my work. I was pretty much there, and the bike shat itself and stopped working. I had to pull over, and it was really dodgy. Like, this was a near-death experience. Yeah. Because I was on this tiny little edge of kind of like the corner of the road had a tiny little shoulder, but very, very small, and the shoulder was running out kind of thing. And I was on the highway, and it was also a corner, sort of a blind left turn, like where the highway just arched around to the left. And so I was on the very, very far left with no shoulder on a motorbike where cars come hooning around at 100 k's an hour. And easily could have died. And so I was like, should I keep trying to go forward? Because the bike was still running, but it was just going really slow, like 40 k's an hour kind of thing on the highway. Or I was like, do I pull over here and walk backwards along the highway for several hundred meters? And I chose the latter because to keep going, there was nowhere to stop. Yeah, and I've often thought as I cruise around there, I've often thought, if a car had pulled over right here, and I'm going 100. I would, by the time I saw it, it'd be too late kind of thing. And that would be me. I would be that car, like, around the corner. So I went backwards anyway. and found a little spot underneath a bridge, and called the only person I knew that could save me in my time of need, my knight in shining armor. I knew he wouldn't mind, even though it was 10 a.m., which is very early for Guy. I knew he wouldn't mind. He had a station wagon. I thought, I've put my bike in the back of a station wagon before, and so I was like, well, cool, the only man I know. He also happens to need money as well, so I'm sure he'd rather have that semi-pro account could be topped up this week with $100 and something dollars
could have done with
instead of a tow truck, and all he has to do is get out of bed and come get me. Not a big deal. And then I called, no answer, and I knew he heard it. I was on the phone. I was like, guaranteed, he heard the phone. Guaranteed. And then I was like, well, do I call him back? But it sounded like a bit of a fuck around, because the other issue is that when I put the bike in the back of a station wagon last time, the petrol started coming out of the top of the lid because it's not sealed quite 100%, and so it was a bit of a mess. And so anyway, I called a tow truck company, and they picked me up in an hour. It took an hour of sitting underneath a bridge. I was there for an hour underneath a bridge, and the bike wasn't working. 1 hour, $120 later, plus $10 for my Uber to work, plus $10 for my Uber back from work afterwards. So $140. That's your semi-pro right there. All spent just getting to work, basically, just traveling to and from work, which really sucked.
Well, you should have left a message, probably, and you probably should have called twice. Because I probably would have picked it up on the second call. Because I didn't see, because the thing is, the phone was round the corner from me, so it wasn't right at my bedside. It was on my computer desk, so I couldn't see who was calling.
But if he had known it was me, he would have picked up straight away.
I would have been at least curious, because it's not like you to call me at that hour.
Such an ungodly hour.
And if you had called back, I would have been like, oh, okay, it wasn't a butt dial or something, so I'll see what's going on here. But you didn't do that. Also, if someone leaves a message, I take it more seriously as well, because I'm like, oh, they clearly needed to say something to me. Whereas if it's just a call, it's like, it was probably something not important because they didn't leave a message.
Well, I work in live TV, and there was a live show starting at 10.
So who covered for you?
Well, the other graphics operator had to... I'm a graphics operator for TV, and I was meant to be there at 9, and I arrived at 11. And the show started at 10. It was a 2-hour show, so I arrived just over halfway through the show, and it's live. You know, they can't. If I'm not there, someone else has to do the job. It can't just be done without me, without that job, sort of thing. So the other graphics operator just had to do twice as much work, basically. But he was all right about it. He seemed good about it. Hates my guts. Hates my guts almost certainly now, but seemed all right about it.
I just think it's funny how, like, only you could infuriate a co-worker to the point of threatening to murder you graphically and have to have a mediation about the threat, and then everything sort of chill out.
Well, you got to explain this. You got to explain this story.
Well, I don't know if we've already told this story on the podcast or not.
I don't know if we did. I feel like we didn't, because back then I still worked there, so I didn't want to talk about it.
Well, we might as well just...
Or we might as well delve into this, because this is pretty good. At my old job, also in TV, no company names uttered, one of our two major broadcasters, and so anyway, I had this job, and I'd only been there like a couple of weeks, and there was this big guy who was a big, silent, scary type, and he took exception to the fact that I always came late and left early.
He took exception to your tardiness and your shitty work ethic.
But now let's be clear about a couple of things here. One, he was not my boss. He was my colleague and equal. Second, he is in no way affected by what time I show up and leave. Like, it doesn't mean more work for him. That was not how the job worked. Like, it did not in any way affect him what time I showed up or left. Right? The other thing, 3, everybody else did the same thing as me. So
what about this guy?
So we were meant to start at 7, and I would normally come in at 7:30 because no one would know, you know. And But this guy as well, he was the worst. He just made up his own hours. That was the other thing too. Sometimes he literally wouldn't come into work in the morning, and then he'd just come in and do an overnight shift just at his own he'd make up his own hours.
Yeah.
Right? He just completely made it up. So he's been a complete hypocrite.
Okay.
And he was taking exception to the fact that I'd come in at 7:30, and every day he'd go, "You're late. And then eventually I was like, yeah, I don't care, man. You're not my boss. You're my colleague, you know? And then it kind of escalated a little bit. I can't remember exactly what happened there. It was a couple of years ago now. But then he was he's a big guy too, and he was real quiet, always real soft spoken, which made him all the scarier. And he was like, you know what I want to do to you? I want to take you outside, punch your face in, and cut your head off. And I was like, oh, fuck. And it was just him and me there at 7:30 in the morning, you know, and nobody else was around.
So what was your response to that threat? What were your words back to him?
I took off my jacket and I said, "Are we on?"
You said, "Are we on?"
And I stood up. Because I was like, oh, this is it. Like, this is a fist fight now. You can't talk about fucking chopping my head off. Like, what am I going to do now? What possible option is there left?
So you didn't just go, whoa, bro, take it easy or anything like that?
And then I stood up and I was standing there and he didn't stand up. He didn't even acknowledge that I'd said or done anything. And I was like, well, that's weird. So I just sat back down. He was so unintimidated that he was not even going to dignify it with a response.
Yeah, he was like, that's such a joke to me that I'm not even going to bother responding to you.
I will crush you, little man. and then so I was like, you're going to lose your fucking job over this, because I was pretty upset. You don't threaten people with chopping their heads off. I was like, I've only been here for a week.
I'm just trying to make my way.
and then he got up and left.
Right.
And went for a walk. I found out later he went for a walk. So he got up and left.
To cool down.
Lest he chop my fucking head off.
Lest he murder you immediately.
So
lest he murder you on the spot, he went for a walk to cool off.
And then so my boss came in at like 8. And I was like, boss, I need to talk to you. and I took him somewhere quiet, and I was like, no. And I was trying to be strong, you know. I was trying to keep the quiver out of my voice. And I was like, now, he's just told me that he wants to take me outside, punch my face in, and chop my head off. And I don't need that. I don't need that in my workplace.
I'm just trying to come to work, man.
I don't need that in my workplace. Because I was a little shook up.
A little shook up by the threat of murder.
Well, a little shook up by the threat of beheading. I was a little bit concerned. And then so we got called into mediation, like the next day or something like that. And basically, he apologized, and that was really the end of it. But things were never the same. We were never friends.
No.
We never became close.
But he didn't do any more threats to you.
No, and he didn't chop my head off. We basically just never spoke again,
right,
for the most part. More or less, we never spoke again.
Yeah.
Because he got up and went for that walk, and he sort of said later, the reason why I got up and went for that walk was because I've realised I've gone too far, kind of thing, and I wanted to cool off, and I just,
I realised when I revealed my inner thoughts about what I was planning to do that I had gone too far.
Basically.
Because now he knew what I was going to do. And then that would defeat the element of surprise. He would be ready for me.
When you, I'm normally a very quiet man, but when you infuriated me to the point of me a homicidal rage, within your first week of working here,
you incited me into a homicidal.
I knew I needed to go for a walk to gather my thoughts.
But I feel like if that had been anyone else but you, that wouldn't have gone that way.
Well, maybe
but you just had the ability to wind him up to such a point.
Well, I do think that perhaps other people might have been like, "Oh yeah, sorry mate, sorry, I'll come in at 7." Or something like that.
Well,
Whereas
yeah.
I was like, well, you're not my boss, you're my colleagues.
So fuck off.
So fuck off. Get up my balls, bro. What are you, the police? What are you, the fucking hours police? What are you, curfew police?
Yeah, it was a good story. It was a good story. Yeah, and that's the thing. Anytime someone threatens to murder you, it is quite scary, even if they're like a small, tiny person. Because the thing is, murders do happen.
Every single day.
People get murdered. How do they get murdered? Most time, it's a crime of passion. You know, people just get worked up. They fucking snap. We go back to our baser instincts. And then afterwards, they're kind of like, yeah, I just kind of saw red and murdered this guy. And obviously, that's not what I'm normally like. But yeah, I did that thing. And now he's dead.
Now he's dead. Although that does sound like a bit of a cop-out excuse, because, you know, I've never been angry enough to actually... And I've been pretty angry.
Yeah, but you're
I've never wanted to murder somebody.
A rational thinker. You're a logical thinker. But when...
But going back to your base instincts thing is not an excuse.
Well, no, it's not an excuse to murder people. But I think that some people get to a certain point where their rationale and logic disappears. Just disappears. They're not thinking. They are not thinking anymore. They are just wanting to do this thing, which is murder Harley Neville for being a dick at work.
No, because if it was the other way around, if he was coming in at 7:30,
yeah,
I wouldn't give a shit. I honestly wouldn't say a thing to him. I wouldn't even mention it. If he was coming half an hour late to relieve me, okay, maybe I'd say something then.
Yeah.
But if he's coming in half an hour late to do his own shit...
Well, I think the issue is the hierarchy of it.
Well, he did say that...
you know, it's like, yeah, when you've been here for half a year, you come in whenever the fuck you want, mate. But you just got here. And here you are, like, fucking feet up on the table, fucking coming in late, fucking...
whacking off under the desk.
Just zero fucks given. It's disrespectful to people like us. We've been here. We put in the hard yards to become slack artists and do nothing.
Okay, sure, but I still really don't think I'd care unless it was affecting me directly.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, you know, like some people don't really, you know, it's affecting their peripheral, you know, sort of thing. You know, there's the guy coming in late. He's fucking just got here, for fuck's sake. You know, when I started, I was here, you know, crack of dawn, 7 a.m. on the dot for 2 years before I started fucking around. Now look at this guy taking liberties. He's gonna ruin it for us all.
He takes fucking around to the next level.
This guy takes fucking around to the next fucking level.
But you know what is funny is even after my disciplinary, after the mediation meeting, right? I had to say, obviously, I'd say, yeah, look, so I've been coming in at 7:30. I haven't been coming in at 7. That's been rubbing this guy the wrong way, and we had to explain all of that. Next day, came in at 7:30.
Really didn't think you'd like give it a week of coming in on time just to make smooth things over?
There's nobody there. How would they even know?
You don't have a clock in, clock out?
No, there was no... I was on a salary.
But what about your swipes? Like, you must have swipe card access.
You do have the swipe card access, but they just never... I don't know. Maybe that employer
maybe don't
is
log
just quite slack, that employer. They also just didn't care. You know, I feel like they didn't really care. The only person that cared was the person that wanted to chop my head off.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, look, if you ever feel like chopping someone's head off, don't do it. Go for a walk.
Go for a walk instead.
Don't work with Harley Neville either.
Speaking of chopping heads off,
yeah.
I read, recently, in January this year, a member of ISIS, he didn't chop any heads off, but he did...
Oh, that's a change.
He did execute his own mother. A member of ISIS executed his own mother for apostasy. So, for leaving the faith kind of thing. But she didn't actually leave the faith. She just
wasn't down for the slightly more terroristic...
Exactly. And she was like, let's go, my son. Let's get out of Raqqa, the stronghold of ISIS, and leave ISIS, and let's go and get out of here. Let's escape. And this guy was 20, and he reported her, and it's a little unclear as to whether or not he was like, and I'll execute her myself, but I don't think so. I think that maybe it was more like he reported her, they found her guilty of apostasy, and then sentenced him or to prove his loyalty or whatever, to execute his own mother in front of a large crowd, like out in a public square kind of thing.
Right.
That's some fucked up shit.
It's like something out of a movie, but it's not a movie.
But it's not. You're killing a 20-year-old dude. He's killing his own mum. That's fucked up. There's no way that can possibly be okay in the Quran. Right? Like, surely that's next level. Like, just when you think these guys can't get any crazier,
but they
get crazier.
The key to ISIS is recruiting people so young that they kind of lose the ability of the rational, logical thought that we talk about, and they're just these disciples of this madness, right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, when you're young and you become influenced like that, it's easy to get pretty fucking stupid because you're already prone to stupidity.
Yeah.
And it just gets more and more insane. It is genius on their behalf, but yes, it's disturbing stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like, surely one day, assuming this guy survives, he isn't wiped out by the Russians at some point, or by his own kind at some point, surely that is going to be one of his greatest regrets, because you have to imagine that he is a real human. He's still a real human.
When he gets to sort of 40, 50,
and he looks back on it,
he's probably going to definitely not be okay with that decision.
Because I look back at being 20 years old and realize I didn't know dick. And so that, I don't know, just boggled the mind. I just thought that was interesting in a horrible, morbid kind of way. So essentially, he was killing her because she changed imaginary friends.
Yeah.
It was all for nothing too. It wasn't for something. She didn't try to actively inhibit ISIS.
She wasn't like an agent for America or something.
No.
Undercover.
No.
Yeah.
Madness.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you got?
Well, my stuff is more filmmaking centric.
Yeah. Yeah, well, see, you handle the filmmaking part of the podcast. I'll handle the life side of the podcast.
So I've got a couple of things, but I guess I wanted to delve into the topic of crowdfunding and Kickstarter again, because there's been these sort of two new campaigns coming up. Now, the first one is called the FP2, Beats of Rage. Now,
I've had many of those.
Yeah, so I'm sure we all have.
I can't believe you rejected me. I can't believe you rejected me. Beats of Rage.
Beats of Rage. Beats of Rage and Beats of Rage Part 2. About 20 minutes later.
Once you recover.
Once you recover, you're still upset and a little bit horny. So anyway, the FP was a film that came out 8 years ago, and it's kind of this cult classic. It's kind of this weird post-apocalyptic movie, which is a bit like The Warriors and stuff like that. But basically, it's about these sort of rival gangs in this, crazy alternate future who play Dance Dance Revolution to face off against each other. But like, people die if they lose at it, so it's real. And the FP refers to the place where this is all happening, like it's the name of the town or the abbreviation of the name of the town. And it follows this guy called J-Tro, who was, once a great dance master, but kind of fell off the wagon through, I think maybe his girlfriend got killed or something. Doesn't matter. It's a pretty good film, pretty interesting if you're kind of on board for that super silly premise. It's a lot of fun. It's really original. And Jason Trost is the director or co-director of that. And he's just put out a Kickstarter for a sequel. And he's looking to raise $100,000 US. Because there's a lot of, that was kind of culty film and people really do enjoy it. People like cosplay as the people from it and some of the American comic book conventions and stuff like that. So if you're interested in that, the FP2 Beats of Rage, you can find that on Kickstarter, or you can find Jason Trost. He's got all the links to it at JTro. So far, they've got sort of 50 days left, so it's been live for like 10 days. They've raised just under 10 grand. which is pretty good.
Well, it's more than we raised in our entire campaign, so yeah.
So, it's pretty good, and, it's, and that's one way to sort of do the filmmaking stuff, is crowdfunding, and the only issue I had is that he did kind of sort of talk down about his other films a little bit. He said, since the FP, I've been trying to figure out what to do next with my career. Financially, the FP was viewed as a failure. It wasn't my big break. It wasn't even a small break. So I've been forced to make a series of movies based on piles of trash I've had available to me at the time, which have all served as great learning experiences, but I'm not truly proud of any of them in the way that I am the FP. And because he crowdfunds for most of his films, whether it's for post and stuff like that, he puts his own money into it as well. But I don't know if you should call your other films, even if they're not piles of trash, but based on piles of trash. I'm not sure that you should really say that about your previous films.
I'd be a little bit disappointed if I was an actor in one of those films to have the, the creator referring to it like that. I'd feel like I'd wasted my time as a
better watch what I say about zombie holocaust.
Yeah, you'd fucking better.
But also, I think that if people are going to, if you're asking people to invest in this, then you can't say you love any film more than the other. It's like you just care the most about making this thing and doing an awesome job.
Well, maybe another way to look at it though is that I appreciate honesty as well. It's like you don't want him to be up there being like, all of my films are awesome and they've been so great and look at the success of this shitty film got into this festival and this shitty film did that thing. You don't want him up there just hyping that. You also want to hear kind of the truth, which is that this went like this and it didn't turn out how I planned on it sort of turning out. But the FP was really good, and I think that the FP2 Beats of Rage will be really good.
Well, I think that as far as sequels go, I'd like to see this one, and I think it's very difficult to get the FP over here legally. It's impossible, in fact. It hasn't been distributed over here. It is available in some other countries, so for our overseas listeners, they should track down the FP if you like the idea of that concept, and it's pretty funny. So check that out. Now, that's I guess the traditional way to do crowdfunding, right? That's the way we did it. We sort of raised money for Older this way. But I also just wanted to talk a little bit about a second film that is currently on Kickstarter called Tex Montana Will Survive. Now, this is from a production company called Ohana Films. And the way that I sort of found out about these guys is they originally made a zombie film called The Battery, which they made for $6,000, sort of a low budget zombie film, but really good, really good acting, really made the most of their concept, because it's basically these two guys wandering around and there's zombies about, there's just not that many, but there's no one about also. And it was definitely just quite an interesting, cool zombie film. And it did, pretty well. It went to heaps of festivals, and that's how they came on my radar. And this is their follow-up film, which is not a horror film at all. It's basically about a guy who is a Bear Grylls style guy, like a wilderness guy who's exposed as a fraud. His TV show is total bullshit. So he actually goes into the wilderness to prove that he is, this kind of hardcore survivalist, but he's not, and comedy ensues. So that's basically the idea behind it. And they have a very interesting sort of way. They've got a Kickstarter as well, but it's completely different, and it's this kind of new model, which I thought was really interesting. They're looking to raise $50,000, but they've already shot the film. So they're not asking for money to shoot the film. They're not asking for the film to be funded. They're saying, we've shot the film. If we reach $50,000, that's how much we'll be happy to release this film for free, for everywhere, no distributors, through a Creative Commons license. So you all can just have it. If we get to this $50,000, we've made back our money that it cost to make this film. We've got a little bit of extra money to start developing our next film, and we will just give this to everyone. So, please help us. And, to date, they've raised $15,000, which is, again, really good. They've only been live for a few days, but I just thought that was a really interesting concept because, again, you're really closing the gap between you and your fans, and you're saying, look, hey, guys, look, you love The Battery. You want to see us make more films? Well, we made one. This is the easiest way where we don't get ripped off by sales agents, where we don't have to wait 2 years for money to trickle into us. If we just raise this money, you guys all can have it. We completely defeat the idea of piracy, like biting into our work and stuff like that, because we're saying you can have it, you can pirate it, you can do whatever you want with it. So I thought that was really cool concept. Thoughts?
I think that's what we should do for older.
Right, so that's what you think.
Yeah, it's good. It's a great idea because piracy is going to be around anyway.
Yep.
It does bite into your profits.
Yep.
Judging by I Survived a Zombie Holocaust, like a lot more people have seen it than have paid for it, and judging by the $400 check I got, like there's no money in that current sort of market, that current sort of system, or what's the word? Formula. And so yeah, it's a great idea. It's an excellent idea. You entirely avoid piracy because you don't release it until you've got the money that you want from it.
Yep.
And also $50,000 is like quite achievable, like that's not really unrealistic, but it's also a lot of money to the likes of you and I making a film. Now $50,000 though, I mean, they're not really making that much because, like say it costs them $6,000 to shoot it, but then they're not making $44,000 because you have to assume that $6,000 is not for a complete film. That $6,000 is to shoot it, and then there's $20,000 of post-production.
Well, that's the thing about these guys, is that they kind of do, I think, all that stuff in-house. So their DOP also is a colorist and a sound designer.
Right.
So basically they don't incur those same costs that we will at the end of Older, because they have the ability to do that themselves, and I think probably that's what they did for this one. So, that means, because that's the thing, is if we put Older up for $50,000, it would make about
$6,000.
Yeah, we put maybe $10,000. Being generous by the end of all our costs, probably I would say. So it's not so good, but if you can make a film for $10,000, it's great. And if you have the ability to do all those things internally, is really good. Although you have to wonder, how much, because maybe they didn't, for instance, pay a composer, they just used library tracks, in which case, then the composer's not like, well, where's my money?
Yeah.
And they're the actors and co-directors sort of thing.
Right.
So then again, so the actors can't come around and go, well, where's my money? Because they acted in it. That was them. And so there's less people sort of there going, well, if you're going to get $50,000, I want some of this $50,000. But I thought it was a very interesting concept.
Yeah, well, I agree.
So, and I guess that leads into one final thing I will say about this. My girlfriend, Shelley, gave me, she played a TED talk that the singer-songwriter Amanda Palmer did. Not to be confused with Laura Palmer, the punk band from Australia with our beloved...
Fronted by Liam Hegarty.
Liam Hegarty, our number one fan, who listens to this podcast. He
loves this show. He
3
really
or 4
loves
times
it.
on repeat through the day. And always has a kind word and comment for us.
Puts it on the speakers when he's in the shower.
Puts it on the speakers while he's traveling on the bus, so other people can listen to it.
Yeah, on the plane.
And forces other people listening to it because he loves it so much. So it's not Laura Palmer, it's Amanda Palmer. I don't really know anything about her, but she's a singer-songwriter. Anyway, so she was just a singer-songwriter. She got to the point where she signed a studio deal. Now, the studio deal... she released her first studio album. Obviously, it cost quite a lot, and it sold like 25,000 copies. Now, I don't know whether that is like over the course of its run, or whether that's just sort of in its sort of opening few weeks. But it sold 25,000, which was considered a big failure, because when you're releasing a studio album, you want to be shifting like 50 to 100,000 sort of in the first week if you're looking at calling it a successful album release through a major studio. Although obviously that's changing a little bit now with digital this and all that. But anyway, so she was like, well, isn't that good? 25,000 people bought this album. Isn't that really, really good? And they were like, no, that's a big failure in our books. That's a huge failure. So basically with her next thing, she said, okay, well, fuck this, the studio, you know, I'm going to do this independently. And she basically got out of her studio contract and she started a Kickstarter to raise $100,000 to do a new album. And she ended up raising $1.2 million for that album. And that was as a result of about 25,000 backers. So it was about her fan base. But she raised, you know, all this more money. So, you know, she got $100,000. That would have covered the album. She could have released the album, no probs, given it to her fans, no probs. Still got that sort of, you know, extra million, basically, 1.1 million that she can then distribute to her band, that she can help with touring, that she can sort of live off to set up the next one. And again, I think, you know, again, it's that thing. It's like, well, you go through a sales agent and film, they take all the money. You go through a studio to release an album, they take all the money. And all these costs kind of build up and incur. And once it trickles back down to you, you're fucked. Whereas here, she's cut out those people and she's just saying, hey, to my fans, I need this money. What do you say? They say, yes, we love your stuff. Here you go. And so I just thought, again, it was a very interesting way that we as filmmakers and creators of sort of content should be looking to the future and being like, okay, well, yeah, piracy is around, you know, these sort of big companies kind of rip off the little guy. You're only sort of good if you're making big studio films. So we have to make that connection with our fans and asking them for money. So everyone on the podcast right now, all 50 of you, please donate.
We don't even have one, but
$100 to Harley's email.
PayPal account. So if you guys want to donate some money, want to donate some money to Pigville to keep us running, right? To give Guy
keep the lights on.
To keep Guy in this sort of semi-pro working 4 days a week. 4 days? How many days working?
3 days a week.
3 days a week, and having 4 days off to concentrate on Pigville stuff.
Yeah.
If you want to encourage that, please send any money. Doesn't matter how small. It can be $1.
But ideally,
in PayPal,
$100
in PayPal. You need. I think all you need is my email address, harleyneville@hotmail.com. And all you got to do is it'll ask you who you want to donate to, and you
probably what you should do is probably provide a link.
Yeah.
PayPal link, so people just click on it.
Yeah.
It's a bit hard to organize in their brains otherwise, you know. It's like, oh, what do I write in here? Do I go on PayPal? I don't know what I'm doing.
Right,
so that explains why we haven't had all these donations flooding in.
So also Liam Higgity doesn't have any money.
So we will put a link to the PayPal below here if you want to consider donating, if you've enjoyed the content that we're creating for you, because we want to be the next Amanda Palmer.
Now, in all seriousness, guys, if you give me $10, I swear to God, I'll pass that along to Guy into the semi-pro account.
Yeah,
we really will. If you give me $1, it's all going in there. Okay, so don't feel like any amount is too small. Just put it on in. We will use it. Keep Guy going semi-pro. Speaking of TED Talks, I might be doing one. Maybe.
Right.
I am the wildcard entry for a TEDx Talk New Zealand. So I'm currently at the stage
wildcard is code for grossly unqualified. You know, so they go, yeah, we checked a wild card in there. So if anyone asks, they're like, well, why the fuck should he be doing a TED Talk? And they're like, he's the wild card, man.
Hey,
we needed a wild card.
Thanks for the support, Guy. Thanks for the motivational fucking speech. Thanks, mate.
They're covering their bases.
Thanks for voicing my own doubts. That's what I need to hear from my best friend on the podcast. Jesus. So I might be doing a TED Talk anyway. I'm the wild card entry, but it doesn't mean I'm going to be doing the TED Talk. It means I now have to send in a 2-minute video sort of saying what I would talk, who I am and what I would talk about.
TED talking.
Yes.
2-minute TED talking.
Yes. And so that's due by Sunday night midnight. So that's tomorrow midnight, or today midnight, actually, for you listeners, if you're listening on the release date. And so that's what I'll be doing tomorrow. TED Talk video. But I'm excited. I think it'll be a pretty great opportunity if I manage to get it. And I do think I'd come up with an interesting enough speech, given enough time to work on it, kind of thing.
I agree. I thought your speech to the little shitheads that you talked to at school was good.
The kids, I talked to the kids. I motivated the kids at
hundreds of kids at some school.
120 12-year-olds.
Talking to them about plastic.
Talking to them about art and how you can use it to express yourself.
Yeah.
When you don't have any other way to express yourself, you can use art to convey your feelings and your anger or your emotions or whatever. And I also talked about plastic. Because plastic's bad, guys. It's real bad.
Just quickly going back to the donation side of
so
things.
Just back to this donation stuff, guys.
Well, no, I guess I just wanted to talk a little bit about the admin of making a film, the admin of older, because I guess some people don't realize, not a lot of people really realize the kind of the levels of boredom involved and the steps involved.
I think they're starting to realize.
You go, I think they're getting the gist. But anyway, so we just shot a bunch of older footage. And basically, I've been spending the last 4 days not editing that footage, but simply preparing that footage to be edited. So once you shoot, your footage, first thing you've got to do, transfer it to a hard drive, half an hour. The second thing you've got to do, you've got to convert all that footage so that it is easy to manipulate within your editing software. So you can't just straight out of the camera use that editing footage.
Well, that's what I do.
And it does not work at all.
That's what I do.
And I have to keep fixing those things because you try and import it directly in instead of finding a file format that is compatible with the editor and avoiding any technical problems. But basically what you do when normally a file is, what you shoot is too big to be managed on your editing software. So you make what's known as a proxy, which is basically a sort of a lower quality version of everything you shot. It's a lower quality version, and then you go back to the higher quality version right at the end, but you use what they call EDL to reference all the clips back. So, you're editing all the clips, they all look the same but just slightly shittier, and then you go back to that high quality version right at the end before you export everything out.
So the composer has the correct timings and all that
and
stuff.
And the color grader.
The big
yeah.
file sizes.
Yeah, so the color grader can grade off the best version possible, but it only happens right at the end. Before that, you're using these proxy files. So there's that step, and that can take sort of between 5, 10, 24 hours. Sometimes the computer will be on all night, just converting. Just this loud hum in the background of my room.
Were you converting anything last night?
Yep.
Yeah, because I could.
You could hear it from your room.
So that was
you
good.
could hear me converting in the middle of the night from your room. Then you've got to take everything you have into your editing software, which for me is Final Cut Pro 7. Once you've taken it into Final Cut Pro 7, you've got to label it. So that means going through every single take of everything you shot.
That's the worst bit.
And you're writing Harley, close-up, take 1. Harley, close-up, take 2. Harley, close-up, take 3. Harley, close-up, take 10. Harley, medium shot, take 1. And do it all again.
Yeah.
A wide angle tracking shot, creeping through hallway, take 1.
Yeah.
And it just never fucking ends. And so you've got to do all that. Then, once you've done all that, you sync the sound, because we record our sound separately. It's not recorded directly into the camera because you get a sort of a lower quality version if you do that. So what you have to do is record the sound separately, which means that you have to marry all the sound to the takes that you shot, which means another step in the process. Now, fortunately, there is an automatic program called Pluralize, which sort of does this for you, but it doesn't necessarily do it perfectly, and there's lots of things that you kind of have to fiddle around with to get it quite right, because it won't necessarily match everything up the way you'd hoped. It will miss takes. It will assign the wrong take to the wrong audio sometimes. It's just not perfect. And then, after you've done all that, you actually start editing. And you wonder why we might need a little donation, you know?
Yeah, you wonder why you need 4 days off a week.
Yeah. So that is all I've been doing, and I'm still haven't got through everything that we filmed. So the stuff that we filmed over a 3-day or 4-day period, I've just spent just over 4 days sort of preparing to be edited, and I still have not got through it all. Yeah.
Yeah. So harleyneville at hotmail.com on PayPal, please.
We'll put that link down. We'll put that link down for you. But it is coming along. The stuff that we shot is looking very cool, and I'm looking forward to actually now almost starting to actually edit it.
Good. I look forward to cutting that out later, cutting out everything that was shot later in order to save time because the movie's too long.
Well, that's the other thing is that once you've edited everything, you put it all in, and you go, you know what? We don't need at least half of this. Half of this stuff we don't need. To snappy this up, we'll cut out half of this, including the most difficult things, the most taxing things, the most trying things that we shot on the day. They'll all be gone, because it turned out we didn't actually need them. But the only way to know that is by looking at it all put together at the end. So it's kind of this crazy process, because you have to shoot this stuff, and you have to put it all together to see what is working, what isn't working, and what doesn't need to be, what is clear without having to be said. Except that, you know, you did have to shoot that all, you did have to edit it all, and you do have to cut it all out. And that is a necessary step, but it's fucking mental if you think about it.
Well, yeah, it's grossly wasteful. If you think about the money, time, and effort put in.
Yeah.
But it is the way it is.
I remember that we shot a shot of, we tried to have this sort of, we had this camera set up with this remote control for the zombie film. And it was basically the shot, it was like a POV shot of creeping up to a portaloo and then looking into it. And basically what had happened is, you know, and so it was done by sort of, you had to remote control the camera to do this dip, to go up these stairs and do this dip at the end.
Yeah, on the end of a long, on the end of a jib arm kind of thing, right?
On the end of a jib arm, on the end of a dolly, and a dolly, for what people don't know, is basically like this kind of like little motorized scooter, but it runs along a set of tracks. So it gets pushed along a set of tracks by someone, and you have to lay the tracks first. So you have this creeping shot up to the loo, and then it goes in, and I was like, this is going to be the shot, you know, this is going to be so great. And then basically, we walked onto set and we were like, well, we'll set up the dolly tracks first, you know, so we're not wasting time waiting for them to be set up. We got there, they'd set up the dolly tracks in slightly the wrong place. So basically the dolly tracks weren't running straight to the loo, they're running sort of side on to it, which meant that the jib arm had to be set at a sort of a weird, awkward angle. Couldn't just kind of do that straight, smooth motion. And then basically controlling the jib to sort of peek into the loo was like just almost impossible, because the timing was just so specific, and someone's just fiddling around with a remote control trying to get this dip into the loo. So we did, I think, 28 takes of that.
Yeah.
We kind of put ourselves back an hour and a half of what we're planning to that day to try and get that shot. And then and to be fair, I might have used it if we'd actually got it perfect, but we never in 28 takes really got it perfect. But it was just at a certain point, it was like, well, look, we have to move on now. And then I cut that shot out. Didn't use it. Did not use it at all. And that's just one of those things. That's just the way it goes.
It was good for me, though, because I was just hanging out in the trailer, hitting on the extras
to be honest, what you were doing, you were stuffing your face full of lollies.
Yeah.
You were like, sort of mooching about watching. I think you watched it quite a bit because you were there for the next scene. The next scene was your thing. And you were this is the day that you made a joke where you used the fog machine to create a fart
to create the illusion that
of
I
a
was
fart
doing a
coming out of
giant
a
fart.
fog fart coming out of your butt. So that's what you were doing.
That's what I was doing.
That's what you were spending time on. But it's interesting because then we had to do the last scene really quick, which was you, and it was quite an important scene where you basically pitch your script to the director of the film within the film. You talk to him, and it was actually worked perfectly. It was a great scene, but you guys actually got fuck all takes to do that, and you kind of had to be nailing it from take one, which you both were.
And that scene ended up being used, as it happened, in my show reel, which I just editing yesterday. So I guess we did nail it.
Yep. But yeah, that's filmmaking, y'all.
The T.P.P.A.
T.P.A?
T.P.P.A, Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement.
Yep.
That was sort of ceremonially signed this week.
Yep.
Yesterday, I think it was.
Yep.
And there was a lot of protests.
Yep.
15,000 people or so showed up in central Auckland.
I heard 25. But...
Yeah, well, there's varying numbers, but I went on the low end. But yeah, it could have been 25,000. It was certainly a lot. It was a lot, and it was played down in the media a bit. And you see the photos, and all of Queen Street, the main street of Auckland, is blocked off.
Yep.
Just a throng of people out there saying we don't want this thing. And I couldn't go. I wanted to go, but I was working that day. But anyway, I have been sharing things about it. I've been using my online presence. I couldn't be there on the day. I did want to be there. I really did. But anyway, I've been sharing things. And people, sometimes people will sort of get a bit negative on it. And I keep on getting all these comments. For example, let me just find it here. Basically I'll get comments from people that are like, no amount of protesting you ever do will ever achieve anything. And it's like, well, hold up. What about how New Zealand's nuclear free? That was because of protesting. If the government had wanted it, if the government had its way, then the nuclear submarines of America would have come into our waters.
Yeah, also tell that to a little guy called Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure his protests were quite... fundamental in changing and abolishing, sort of a lot
segregation.
Of segregation.
And then also the apartheid in South Africa with the Springboks tour in like 81 or whenever the fuck it was. The massive protests. So you got these like real negative people jumping on Facebook and being like I shared a photo of the 20,000 odd people.
Is this an episode
on
of
Queen Street? Sort of. I do have a troll hole as well.
We'll save that.
But yeah, so there's these people saying, these negative people jumping in there going, there's no point in protesting, because basically they're so far down the rabbit hole, these types of negative people, they're so far down the rabbit hole that they believe that it's all a big conspiracy, the government cannot be swayed, people have no power, and there's no point in doing anything. And that... is easy to sort of fall into that negative mindset, but it's not actually true.
No.
And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy right there, because if everyone was like these losers that are commenting on my Facebook, then nobody would have gone out anywhere, and Martin Luther King wouldn't have achieved anything.
He wouldn't have had a dream.
He wouldn't have. He would have stayed in his dystopian nightmare. And so I just wanted to say that. So get out the fucking way, basically. Like, or if you
move, bitch, get out the way, get out the way.
If you don't want to be a part of the revolution, that's fine. If you don't want to be a part of sort of change, that's okay. But get out the fucking way. Don't be negative and let your negativity inhibit the progress, because that's a whole other thing. That becomes part of the problem. If you jump on Facebook complaining about shit, saying like that, you're becoming part of the problem.
Well, that's the thing, and actually, at the end of the day, all we have is our voice, our one voice, whatever we choose to do with it, whether that's, for me, filmmaking, tell a story, or, support a cause, or talk about what you're passionate about, or the injustices that you're passionate about. That's actually all you fucking have. And so if you remove that, well, you're removing democracy, my friend.
Exactly. So all you negative Nancy, shut the fuck up.
Eat a fucking dick. Eat a
Exactly.
bag of dicks, you cunts.
Pigville says, eat a dick. I've also had I've been copping a bit of flack lately as well for some of my more religious things that I mention. And
Religious bullying.
my religious bullying.
Yeah.
And I've had people sort of comment, they'll say, humans will always find a way to kill each other in defense of religion. They're like, yeah, religion does cause people to kill each other, but if you take away religion, people will still kill each other over nationalism or whatever. You know, and it's like, well, that's essentially saying, like, you know, we're all fucked, so why bother trying? You know, it's like, my line of thinking is, okay, so let's remove religion, and then we'll concentrate on nationalism, you know, and then we'll concentrate on, you know, border disputes, you know, and racism and whatever, you know, like, this is progress. That's how it works, you know, one little step at a time. So, yeah, these fucking negative Nancys. But that's all I'll say about that. But I will say something else about last night I worked at a bar. Sometimes I work at a live music venue.
Yep.
And I encountered something strange for New Zealand, which was there was an Orthodox Jew couple that were so Orthodox that they could not exchange money after sundown. That was one of the rules.
Yeah.
They could not exchange money after sundown. So what they did was they tricked God by setting up a tab before sundown.
Yeah.
How that boggles the mind that you think that will work. Like, how is that any different?
Well, it's not. But also, don't you have to set it up at the end of the night?
No, because they paid at the beginning. So they paid at the beginning. They paid $40 and said, we'll just come up and order drinks until that $40 is gone. You know? And so it was like, okay, but you know you're trying to trick God, right? Like, you know, like if you know, like what's the logic? They are definitely trying to trick God. There's no other way around it.
Yeah. They're trying to dupe him.
Well, it looks like it worked because they didn't get struck by lightning or anything, and neither did I. So I just thought that was really strange that people would try to trick their own God.
Well, look, man, you got to look for workarounds here.
Yeah.
There's
It's
the
like
thing.
the whole anal sex is not losing your virginity, so all the Christian girls get fucked up the ass all the time.
There's some oppressive rules in religion, and you got to find workarounds that are morally acceptable to you. And this is one of them.
Yeah, well, that boggles
Anal.
my mind. Anal. I'm getting my tooth ripped out on Tuesday.
Tooth to be removed.
Yep.
New tooth to be put in yet?
Not yet. I'll get the old one removed, and then we'll just cross that bridge when we get to it.
And what about the troll hole?
Yeah, so on the troll hole, I do have a little something for this week's episode of The Troll Hole.
Yeah.
So on episode 52 of the Guy and Harley podcast, it is called episode 52, You're the Worst.
Yeah.
And I put that on YouTube.
Yeah.
And Super Ferndale, a friend of the Ferndale rapist, I guess.
The Ferndale Strangler.
That's the one, the Ferndale Strangler.
From Shortland
Street.
You're confusing Zach the rapist with the Ferndale Strangler.
Yeah.
Now, the Ferndale Strangler just strangled people. He didn't rape anyone.
Yeah.
Zach did all the raping.
Yeah.
All right?
Right.
So let's not cross-pollinate our Shortland Street canon.
storylines.
Our Shortland Street canon. We've got to keep this consistent, guys.
Well, anyway, all he said, Super Ferndale on YouTube, he says, "You're right. It's the worst ever." Obviously not enjoying our
Oh, boo fucking who, Ferndale. Like, Jesus Christ, man. At least some criticism.
Yeah, or like
Instead of just being right, you're the worst. Okay, well, so what is worst about it to you? Let me
Motherfucker.
count the ways.
Well, he is listening.
Well,
And
good.
I know he's listening because
Ferndale, get off our balls, bro.
I posted back, I said, bitches post anonymous, because of course it's an anonymous account.
Yeah.
And then I said, we will mention you on the next episode 54. And I know he'll listen.
Of course, because he's got nothing better to do with his time.
He's going around fucking posting hate comments on obscure YouTube videos that have 70 views.
In between masturbating in his mum's basement.
Yeah. Well, so I thought, yeah, all right, sweet as. And then I get a comment on one of our on our other YouTube channel, Retro Pigville Videos.
Yeah.
He's commented on episode 10 of the project. It's the extended version of the project, our web series.
He's
episode
gone
10.
deep. He's gone deep into our Pigville library.
And this is the
He's
episode...
gone levels.
Well, I'll be honest. It's episode 10 is the one where I get a boner in this TV studio, right?
Classic.
Now, this guy is definitely some sort of pervert because that's why the thumbnail was me, I'm all hairy with a boner. That's why he clicked on it. Of all the things he could have clicked on, why did he click on that?
Yeah.
He clicked on that because he's a dirty perv whacking off on YouTube.
In his mum's basement. So, Super Ferndale then commented on episode 10 of the project, this is such crap. So thanks. On the bright side, he must have liked episodes 1 to 9.
I don't think he watched them. I think he just went directly to the boner episode because he is a closet case homosexual that has not come to terms with it yet. Not that there's anything wrong with being closeted, but there is something wrong with not coming to terms with it and spewing your hate into the world, your hate of yourself into the world. So... Super Ferndale, you know who you are. You know we read you like a fucking book, motherfucker. So get off our YouTube or subscribe and become a fan. or donate to harleyneville@hotmail.com.
Or turn it all around and become a fan, because really deep down, your hate is manifested from a place of envy and jealousy and sadness at your own life that you've never been able to do anything creative and that no one cares about anything that you do. And so you wander the wastes of YouTube commenting bitterly, which is in fact a sad reflection on your own life that you just don't want to admit.
If you're watching episode 10, the extended version of the project, you are definitely in the wastes of YouTube as well. I'll just say that.
Oh, you're into the wastes of Pigville.
Yeah. That's saying something.
That's saying something.
But here's a guy who doesn't have enough courage to even create a YouTube account. Like, he's just got a Google Plus account that, so it's no YouTube, it's all anonymous. It's just Super Ferndale, one word. And just doesn't even have the balls to create a YouTube account, which doesn't really take that much.
Well, Super Ferndale, I want to say, it's okay that your life amounted to absolutely nothing, and the sum of your parts is a pitiful commenter on other people's creative endeavors. That's okay, but just front up to it.
Yeah, man. Front up.
Be a bro. Subscribe. Turn it all around.
Yeah. We actually need more haters because we haven't had... The troll hole has been a bit quiet lately. We need more haters because all the old ones started loving us too much.
Or went away.
Or we just haven't been getting enough views. For the last whole bunch of months, we've been getting about 60,000 views a month, which is not bad. Like, you think, 60,000 views a month is actually, not that horrible. But considering, we used to get sort of 6,000 a day, we were getting, 1 million views a month for a wee while there. That was pretty good.
We should probably put out some more stuff. Craig, what's in our editor? Hurry the fuck up, please. Also, get that out.
Well, on Monday, I am meeting with the editor of my new poem. So that'll be coming out soon.
Just look forward to that. Harley's new gay poem coming soon.
Don't use gay in a derogatory term. As a derogatory term, what is this? 1950? You barbarian?
2016. Where that is,
what is this? A 2004 Eminem album? Stop using gay as a derogatory term.
I will mention one of the funniest things in Shaun of the Dead, which is in their trailer, is that.
Yeah, but they do it perfectly because in Shaun of the Dead, they do make a joke where a guy says gay in a derogatory term. However, the joke is not that he's saying gay and implying that it's bad to be gay. The joke is that one guy is talking about his wife in a heterosexual way. He's talking about how much he loves her, and the joke is that the other guy would call it gay because it's so obvious. It's such a hetero thing. It's a man talking about a woman. That's the joke there. The joke is not that he is using gay as a derogatory term.
Yeah, it is derogatory.
No.
He's not saying he's cool. He's saying he's uncool.
Yes, but the joke there is that it's a heterosexual conversation. It's such that the joke there is,
Well, I'm not
so
saying-
in love with this woman. I'm so in love with this
Yeah.
woman. I'm in love with her, and I want to be with her, and all I need to do is be with her. And the other guy's like, yeah, gay. And
Yeah.
it's obviously not gay at all because it's completely
neither
hetero.
is your gay poetry. Your gay poetry is completely uncool. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly, that doesn't work. You've got to reflect upon that and
Well,
and
no,
see what
it's
how that
in the
works.
same context.
No, it's not the same context. My poetry is not all about women. If my poetry was about women and you called it gay, that would be funny. But it's not about women. It's about other things.
I don't think that
unrelated
was-
to women. And you are saying it's gay, as in you are saying
It's uncool.
You're saying it's uncool, and by default, you are saying that being homosexual is uncool. And that is the correlation there.
Well,
And
but that's
that
exactly what he's
is
saying
all
too.
wrong. No.
He's
The
saying
joke-
his love
I
for his
disagree.
wife.
No.
No, you're
uncool.
leaping to an extra thing
No,
here.
I'm not.
You're taking it
What
an extra
makes it-
step.
No. You
to
just
say
never
that it's
understood
okay.
the true humor of
No,
it.
no,
just never
you
understood
are
the
just grasping
complication
at straws
joke.
of that joke.
There's no grasping at straws. It's the only gay joke, like in that way. That's the only sort of use of that term "gay" that has ever been really pulled off properly as not being offensive to anybody, but still being very funny. Because it's a reflection saying that. A, it's obviously not gay at all, and B, that the fat guy, I can't remember his name, it kind of reflects on him in a funny way as well. But I would not say that it's in no way saying that being gay is a bad thing.
I think it's just using it in the way that I am using it, which is gay uncool, not
Right.
gay as in you are probably a gay man. You're probably a uncool person by
Yeah.
doing poetry,
But by
and
default,
I stand by that.
But by default, you're saying that gay is uncool. And so that's not the joke there in Shaun of the Dead. That's not the joke at all. The joke there is that he's talking about a very hetero thing, and the other guy says gay, which is very funny.
I still disagree with that.
Doesn't matter. It's how I guarantee I'm right on this one. So we'll let the listeners weigh in on that
Let the
one.
listeners weigh in. What he's just saying gay as in completely uncool to be doing that.
But that's not he's saying that. The character is saying that.
Yeah.
But the joke is not that the character is saying that. The joke is that he's talking about a very hetero thing, his love for a woman, and the other guy calls it gay. That's what makes it funny. That's what makes it funny.
Well, I think he's just saying gay because gay was a catchphrase for many years.
Okay, well, that's why I'm the funny one, because I get the jokes, the subtleties of the
Well,
jokes.
no, you kind of pull at it to make it like
It's funny.
You're looking at the like a sort of an undercurrent
You need
that
to-
may or may not exist.
You need to rewatch that scene, and you'll see that the entire joke is set up as he's saying how much he loves this woman, blah blah blah, how he needs to be with her, all this
but he's
stuff.
still saying
And
gay
then
as
the
in
other
uncool.
Yes, but the other guy's saying gay, but the joke is that it's such a hetero thing. So how can he possibly use the term gay to to describe it? That's the joke. That's what makes it funny.
But the other
if he was talking
part
about,
of that joke...
No. If he was talking about anything else, except for a woman, anything uncool, if he was talking about poetry, if he was talking about anything like that, and he said, gay... that wouldn't be funny. That wouldn't be, like, it might be okay, but it's not hilarious.
But that's still
but what
part of the
makes it-
joke.
What makes... Yes, but the main part of the joke
Well,
is
no,
that
you're
he's
saying that's the main part of the joke. But
no, the main part of the joke is that he's talking about heterosexual stuff, and the other guy says, gay. That's what makes it funny. That's what the joke is.
Yeah, but I'm talking about heterosexual stuff.
No, you're not.
You're a poet, and your poetry is gay.
No,
So,
my poems are in
it's
no
uncool.
way about like heterosexual anything. My poems are not about women or anything like that.
Well, that's a huge leap.
No, you just need to
Huge
ponder
leap.
it and rewatch the scene.
And also,
'cause you clearly missed the joke.
not only a huge
all
leap.
these years, he's missed the joke for 15 years.
Not only a huge leap, but
10
also a huge assumption that people are laughing at that sort of nuanced, slightly, completely other context to the joke, which is not the main joke.
Okay, so you're saying that if he was talking about poetry, for example,
Yeah.
and the other guy said, gay, then that would be just as funny. It doesn't matter what he's talking about. It's not about the heterosexualness. It's not about the fact that he's talking about a woman. That's not the joke. The joke is not about the fact that he's talking about love and women.
Yeah.
The fact is, what makes that joke funny to you is that he says, gay, which was, according to you, a catchphrase.
Yeah.
That's the joke there.
So, no, obviously, there's two levels to that joke.
You really need to rewatch it, because the main part of that joke is that he's talking about heterosexual stuff, and the other guy calls it gay. That's what makes it funny.
Yeah, I'm not really on board with that.
Well, that's because you don't get it and you're stubborn.
No. Look, I see what you're saying, but like I said, that's a huge assumption to say that's the main part of the joke.
Rewatch the trailer, man.
I've seen that trailer a million times.
The very fact that they set it up in such a way where it's like, he's going on about how much he loves her and all this stuff, and then he says, gay. That is so obviously the joke.
At the end of the day, he's still saying gay in a derogatory term. As in, gay is uncool.
Yes, but by default, we're also laughing at that character for being so stupid.
But we're not laughing at that character for being stupid.
We're laughing at the fat guy for calling something heterosexual gay.
But we're not laughing.
It doesn't make any sense.
We're not
that's
laughing
what's funny.
at him.
We're laughing at him.
No, we're laughing
for being kind of a loser.
No, we're laughing at Shaun for saying that stuff and for his friend to shoot him down blatantly.
No way. We're laughing at that guy for using the joke "gay" or the term "gay" when A, it was by that stage no longer cool, and B, it was about a very heterosexual situation.
I don't think that's what people are laughing at.
That's what the joke is. Oh, you need to rewatch. But anyway, you listeners can let us know what you think in the comments below on the Facebook page, facebook.com/GuyAndHarley.
They had tuned out of this 10 minutes ago. I might have to cut out all of this because this is so fucking boring.
Do not be cutting out you losing an argument.
I'm not losing an argument. I maintain.
You're getting upset now.
It's very simple. He uses gay to say uncool about something. Now you're saying that also the reason why this joke is okay is because the context of what he's saying it's uncool about is very straight. Now, that doesn't, change the fact that he's using that term to say something is uncool. And it doesn't change that joke is someone saying something lovey-dovey, someone shooting them down. Like, it's the equivalent of him saying, like, okay, I care about this person so much, and the other guy just going, lame. And everyone goes, ha, 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 ha. It's the same. It's exactly the same. That is the joke. The joke is, say something that we may understand but also think is a bit pretentious, and someone shoots it down with something. In this case, a derogatory gay comment.
Okay, so I 100% think you've got it wrong, and we'll let the listeners decide. And you better not cut it. It'll be the last episode we do if you do. There'll be no censoring. Now,
well, I apologize in advance.
So don't. It's in retrospect now for the listener. And so anyway, let us know what you think in the comments below on facebook.com/GuyAndHarley. Who's right? Who's wrong? What is that joke really about? We are at the end of the podcast now.
So we'll see you next time.
Goodbye.
Gay.
You've been listening to the Guy and Harley podcast, proudly brought to you by Pigville Productions.
Laugh it up, fuzzball.